everybody. Welcome to the R Plus K9 podcast. I am your host today, Connie Moss. Today we're talking about reinforcers. I saw a great post on social media a little while back by a trainer that I really like, Stacy Barnett. She posted about the difference between rewards and reinforcers in dog training. What a great thing. What a great concept. And it's so nice to bring attention to this because it's a pretty big deal in dog training. And sometimes I don't think people really think about it that much. So what is a reward and what is a reinforcer? A reward would be you give your dog a treat when they did what you asked them to do, right? So that's pretty typical. When you're in a dog training class, we pretty much almost always give a treat. The dog does the behavior once or twice, and then maybe they kind of check out, and it's hard to keep your dog's attention and focus, or maybe it was hard to get your dog's attention to begin with. And maybe there's just so many other interesting things happening that your dog's just not really interested in what you have to offer as a reward. That, I would say, is likely a reward. It's what we typically would say, yeah, here, yes, you did it right, here's a little treat. Okay, what's a reinforcement? A reinforcement, as it is defined scientifically for behavior, is something that happens that is making it more likely for a behavior to happen again. So if you think about it in that terms, the reward we were talking about, it maybe got you one or two, let's say, recalls. You call the dog to come to you, and then the dog started checking out. So it didn't really increase the likelihood that the behavior would happen again. But a reinforcer, if it's done as a real reinforcer, it will. So let's say the same scenario. I call my dog to me. He comes running. I say yes. And let's say my dog is a really confident dog. I throw the food past me so the dog runs by and chases the food and eats it. And then he comes back and I feed a couple of treats, or maybe I throw a treat here, I throw a treat there, and the dog is chasing the food. And I'm saying to my dog, wow, you're a good boy. What a good job. And I make a big party out of it, a big production. And let's say I could do 3 or 4 more repetitions and I get just as much attention and focus, enthusiasm as I did the first time. That is probably a reinforcer. It made the behavior of coming to me more likely to happen again. And how do I know the difference? Well, based on whether or not my dog is a part of the process. Is he checking out or is he engaged with me? So those are the big differences between a reward and a reinforcer. Whether you're training your dog for pet skills, let's say leash walking, sit, stay, come, all those kinds of things, or doing sports like agility or obedience, scent work, and even behavior modification. If you're working on a dog who barks and lunges at other dogs, you're likely using what should be reinforcers to keep the behavior strong. And I think the cool thing about using a reinforcer instead of a reward is that you are a part of the process more than just simply handing over a treat. Yes, here's your treat. Yes, here's your treat. Okay, that's okay, but if I throw that big party and I'm tossing treats all over the place and I'm telling my dog how fantastic he is, if this is what my dog truly likes, then that's a reinforcer. And I'm a part of that picture because down the road, when your dog has learned the behaviors you're teaching, you're going to start fading away the food. If you're a pet person or a person showing your dog in sporting events, you need to get rid of the food for the most part. There will be occasional reinforcers, but you need to, for the most part, drop out the food. But see, you were a part of the reinforcement history, so you're still there. So part of that reinforcement is still there. And another reason for having a reinforcement over a reward is that you build a bond. You have a great bond with your dog because you were always a part of the reinforcement history. So you made this party happen whenever you were reinforcing your dog for behaviors, and your dog just naturally builds a bond with you based on that. Now let's talk about dogs as individuals. So whether or not it's a reward or a reinforcer depends on what the dog thinks, and every dog is going to be different. So we always say reinforcement is in the eye of the learner, right? Not the people teaching the dogs, but it's in the eye of the dog. So if you have a shy dog, you're probably not going to throw all that food all over the place and scream and dance and have a party when they do what you want. You're probably going to be quieter. Give a couple treats gently. Tell your dog, wow, you're fantastic, and petting the dog. What a good pup. What a great job. So maybe you're just talking gently to your dog because your dog finds that more reinforcing. And if you have a really bold, confident dog, maybe they like the big party. So you can kind of see the difference there, I hope, between a reinforcement and a reward. It depends on the dog. I would also say that if you were looking to build behavior and make it nice and strong down the road, that reinforcement is going to carry a heavy history or a heavy presence in your dog's brain, and it will always be there. Yes, you're a part of the reinforcement, but you really taught this behavior properly. Your dog is willing to do this. It's almost habitual. You call your dog to come to you, and the dog is so used to hearing that word and just turning and running back to you because of the heavy reinforcement history. So it actually lays a really nice foundation of the behavior being performed correctly over and over again as well, because the dog was motivated to always perform the behavior correctly. As our example of come, the dog performed the behavior all the time and did it quickly because you were going to throw treats for it, and it wanted to hurry up and go chase them. So another reason for using true reinforcement. There was a study done, I think it was Jean Donaldson did a study, and if somebody knows about this, let me know. She did an informal study of watching dog trainers and pet owners training their dogs. And they tried to figure out, why is it when dog trainers are training dogs, the dogs pick up the skills really fast? Well, you might think, yeah, well, they're dog trainers, right? They do it all the time and they're really good at this. Yeah, okay, part of it. But the biggest thing they noticed is they would count the reinforcers that the owners gave out versus what the trainers were giving out. And they found the trainers gave out more reinforcers. So they were doing more of the rewarding the dog for the behavior and having the dance, or, celebrating, having the party every time the dog did the behavior. And the owners were more inclined to do what we're thinking of as a reward. Yes, and give the treat. Yes, and give the treat. And so while they were sort of reinforcing behavior, it wasn't very strong reinforcement, right? It was the reward. And so when you are training your dog, whether you're a trainer or an owner, a competitor in sports, or you're a behavior modification trainer, it really is important to find what that dog is thinking is the most valuable thing. Is it a toy? Is it play? Is it affection? Is it food? And maybe if it's food, how do you use the food? Do you throw it? Do you just give it to the dog? Do you move your hand with the food around really fast and the dog chases your hand? There are lots of ways. Do you pop it up into the air and the dog jumps up and catches it and eats it? Lots of ways to use the food to make it more of a reinforcer. So I want you to think about that when you're training your dogs, because in the future, you want to be able to drop those reinforcers out, right? And just have yourself as the reinforcer. All right, well, I hope that made sense for you. Get out there, train your dogs, have a lot of fun, and happy training.